Hello and welcome to episode 2 of Deconstructing Distortions. My name is Allie with A. Marie Speaks, and this series is intended to be level 2, the secondary sort of course, I guess, after Comprehending Consciousness, which is or was sort of in the running still, but I started that maybe 2 years ago. Offered quick 10 to 20 minute videos on terms or phrases for people newly awakening and kind of beginners who might be caught up in mainstream consciousness, new age terms, and sort of break down the hype about them a little bit and bring them down into reality. Sort of get things out of the woo-woo world and their sort of, that kind of crazy over amplification of things, bring it down and make it easily understandable and accessible to people who are new. This newest exploration in series is going to be the same setup, similar, so quick videos, terms and phrases, but for the adept student, the one, and those of us who have been on the path for a while. We've been sort of kicked around those new phrases. We found, we've done a lot of shadow and light work around trigger points and around those kinds of automatic reactions, and found great work in that, right? There's a recircling or coming back to that happens with, many times, and sometimes I've even talked about this in other videos of spiritual discernment and light and shadow work, of the cycle, of light and shadow work cycle. When we start to awaken, we start to think that it's this linear thing that just happens kind of once, and we see this dark night of the soul. We get introduced to this sort of these concepts of the grand awakenings and the dark night of the soul, and we kind of think they're only happen one time, when in fact they're not. And sometimes they are in their own sort of epic ways. There could be within lifetimes or your own personal choices. You could say, yeah, this grand one was my epic ascension purpose, my highest point, and this was absolutely my rock bottom. And that's fine. But the point and the understanding that comes with experiencing life is that these ups and downs, they do happen all the time. So we should take that as a key into ourselves and understand that that's a hint, right? That's sort of a little nudge or a little egging on to find our own balance in between those two things, right? To find a fluidity between them. And that's kind of the work that needs to be engaged, in my opinion, and comes with being the eternal student, and is sort of one of the great purposes that all of us, the intermingling, interlocking, ultimate purposes that we come here down for, is to do that kind of soul alchemy learning work. That has been a major purpose of the function mechanism of duality, I think. And that is a major structure and architecture mechanism working of third density, and the third ray, sort of ego, solar plexus chakra, right? So with that kind of introduction, the second coming and the dawning of a new day, right, is the age of the Aquarius. It's the start of the new clock, if you like that 2012 old age Mayan revolution, Mayan reference. Well, there's many other versions that go along with the astronomy and astrology and many different traditions, so feel free to plug and play your own in that great clocking concept. I'm just throwing that out there quickly as a great reference point, because sometimes the point of second coming can sometimes be sort of hijacked and stolen and thought and assumed to be only used maybe by Christians and Christianity in general. and that it has to do with their figurehead of their Jesus Christ coming back, and it only belongs to them. And I personally just don't vibe with that. And this second coming is what the second episode of Deconstructing Distortions is all about. This term, I feel it's a wonderful word and a wonderful metaphor that can really be unlocked by everyone. And it shouldn't be sort of just hijacked and only allowed to be used by them. And I say the word them because I just don't wear that badge. I wasn't brought up, and I've said this on my channel so many times, I'm not from a traditional religious standpoint. I was raised outside of that, and encouraged to think independently, in my own unique ways. And that has brought forth sort of this outsider's point of view that I am a highly spiritual person. It doesn't offend me that there's these segregatory versions out there, but I just wish to also say in the kindest, nicest way out to people, there seems to be like barbed wire fence and checkpoints and checking of papers and all of these restrictive measurements and a rightness of approach that's forced in order to come and even say hello, or even use words on my own away from you that you feel are yours. It's so negatively aligned, and it's so micromanaged. It has so much entanglement with the allowing, you're not even allowed to use certain words, and I feel sorry for people who are really trapped in those means and tangled up in them, because I see the truth there, and I see how you're chasing your tail around your center point of truth. But because you're looking for external validation to that, you're never ever going to actually sit down and know and sit and listen and hear that actually the truth is within you. Had nothing to do with any of those external validation points out there at all that you're going around making sure others are so involved in, and others are confirming as well and know about and want to talk about and are for, that you're tiring yourself out and never get to sit down. And it's sad because you're chasing the truth, though, but when you do actually sit, and if you ever do sit, and Jesus himself taught to sit and be quiet, the truth is within, and the Father will speak to you in the dark. And when you listen from that point, you will be shown the path. Everything will come to you. That is the truth. And it doesn't belong to any archaic or printed version. It doesn't belong to any scripture or any spoken word. It is, in fact, something that is so true and so real that it can never be spoken out aloud. The minute we speak, it's creating vibratory distortion of our own. Yes, it can be a beautiful, positively aligned distortion, and we can be attempting to express our truth with unconditional love and from a place of service to all that is not seeking restriction or harm or any sort of segregatory exclusions, And that's beautiful. That's organic distortion. That's what we're here to do. We're here to create manyness and to create and to be fractal vibrations of God. We're here to do it in a positive, feel-good way. Imagine the greatness that we can do when we come to that. When we all choose to stop and listen to that actual seeking of highest good within ourselves, and to go forth from that place, and to serve from that place every day and every moment. And to really know that you have to be quiet and seek your inner truth. And trust that inner truth. And know that that is the partnership with Jesus. It is the partnership with the Father or God, or Source, or Mother Earth, or your higher self, whoever, whatever it is. That is the truth. How it presents itself to you, inside of you, is that truth. It is the truth of it. In that moment. And it's so infinite and so great and grand out there that it could be and is the manyness of all of those different beautiful reflections of gurus and prophets and masters and saints and angels and all of the expressions that others have created, their firm belief patterns on, and they have expressed their experience points through, and their parables are realities. Their stories and our truth, our nonfiction, for us reading them as fiction. But the point of the observer and the point of perspective creates that, right? We have to remember that and honor that, and as much as we can, and try to disentangle ourselves from anything that doesn't honor that, and seek the real truth. What feels good for the true whole? What's a real, actual, honest average for the class? Not to leave out the stupidest kids in the back and make them wear a dunce hat, and not to be propping up that A student in the front, like asking all others to do as they are doing or to be like that one, or any shade in between. But in fact, allowing every person in the class or every student to find their own unique expression and path of learning. And the teacher to hop off that pedestal with the degrees that they're standing upon, like acting like they're so great up there, and to remember that, no, you're a student. There's plenty of things, little teacher, that you don't know. Your microscope view of your education down in that little pigeonhole of whatever you're a teacher of. Congratulations on looking that far into it for so long. But in the grand scheme of scope of whole life, you're a beginner in many things. You're not a master in all things just because you dove into one thing so deeply. So step back and humbly remember that you're also in a space of learning, and learn from your students. Learn how to be a better teacher. Learn how to teach in diverse ways from each diverse fractal source of God here who is seeking to learn in their own way. Because as a teacher, you should be seeking to teach in infinite ways. You should be a seeker of infinite incorporations of knowledge in many ways. That's what serves your purpose and service as to teach. It should. But it doesn't for most. For most, the pedestal is what a teacher is seeking. To be seen by smaller minds so that your truths can be confirmed by 20 smaller minds all the time and never have to question yours. And by each confirmation of these smaller minds, it builds your silly little pedestal up further, a little pat on the back, and you dive deeper into your microscopic view of reality. And it becomes brighter to you and more important, and your service and your purpose is exclusionary to all the other world. Only to other teachers in a certain field are you so important, and then you block out all the other things, and you don't take everybody else's view in the world as important as yours, maybe because you want to feel important. And it's very hard for you to step out of the world of the teacher and go to the grocery store and not be seen as so important, or go to, say, a physics convention when you're a kindergarten teacher. There's many different layers of learning, and sometimes, and now I'm getting caught up in a bit of a metaphor here that's different, but the fact is that even Jesus in his teachings taught about being an eternal student, and the second coming, the new dawning that is upon us here, is embracing that and embodying that as much as we can, basically. So to sort of dilute the hype of the second coming, to say that it's not just for the Christians, and that we don't all need to just all of a sudden rush out and feel this urge to convert and sort of pay homage to and all of this kind of stuff, because perhaps they have been sort of right all along. The other thing with this is I don't want to sort of give them big heads either, because there's a lot of distortion happening there. like I said, about the chasing the tail but never sitting down. I don't want to say that all of them over there aren't part of that realm. I'm amazing. I would consider myself almost an outskirt of that metaphysical Christianity realm in teachings. But I think the true center and true point is over here in the middle ground, you know, and I want, as I get further into talking about and using words of this, I don't want to offend, but I don't want to over-align either with anybody from that place and space. But the words in themselves are there, and they are beautiful truths and great metaphors in themselves, you know. So the second coming is, and may turn out to reflect a sort of return. Now, I'm going to say quickly that to me and personally, what I kind of view as main truth harmonizes towards each individual igniting Christ within, and that creating an overall ignition of more than 51% of humanity who is incarnate and alive on earth now, as to be alive, awake, and activated to the Christ consciousness, to seeking their truth and the great truth of oneness, and to have an activation of God's source and their highest self in them, and to want to be on that path and to be seeking that great goodness for themselves. That's all it is, and that's what it is, as plain as day, as you know, no matter what walk of life, what you call it, what tradition or flavor you cast on it, or all of the little side avenues and the chasings around, whatever badges that you're wearing, those don't even matter. Okay? The truth at the end of the day is that whether you and yourself believe, intentionally have put your attention, light, and love into seeking that which resonates to truth for you. If you are harmonizing with truth and what feels right to your highest good, and by extension the highest good of all, because you are just a reflection of everyone else here. You have just as right to life as others, as anybody else. If you come from that place and space and seek your truth through there, then you are on this path. Then you're on the role of the second coming. If you are choosing to hide from things, anything, and skirt around, procrastinate, put off for later, put blame in another direction, to separate, to exclude, or create segregation, then just know that is on the other side of the fence. That's part of the doomsday apocalyptic realm of choices. And you can't be on both at the same time. You can't operate negatively and positively. You can balance the work, which is what we should be doing, but to notice where your overall time is spent and where your overall seeking is aligning with, and saying, does it feel true to me or not? Does it feel honest or not? Does it feel good? Am I caring for myself or not with this? Am I caring for others or not? A majority of this time. And then bringing it back to where you feel like you are. That's what we're here to do. That's what the awakening and the whole new second coming is about. Being on this path. The more that you do it, the more that you'll hear and be led, and you'll feel the confirmation, and you'll know about the real truth of the second coming. Perhaps, if your jargon and your life's path is to meet him in his second coming, in a divine incarnate, you will. I'm not going to say yes or no to what bubbles of reality are out there, and what will be spectated upon, what I will observe, and what is in my direct vicinity, what's not. I don't know what's in external other space. I choose not to seek and spend imagination time out there because I think there's too many illusions and distortions, and especially right now, it's super chaotic. I choose to spend my time in my own personal point of view and to do things in my own inner and direct world, to do great homeostasis, light and shadow work in my pointing path that I am divinely bestowed upon. God Source has told me with definite truth that that's where my purpose and point is best spent always. And those in my direct vicinity and those who hear my words and are involved with me will know that that's their path as well. Truth time is spent internally right now. Those repercussions are bubbling out in direct world on their own, and in fact they have been already across these great couple of years now since the split has been pushed, because too many people have skirted around and sort of turned a blind eye and said, well, there's not a choice at hand, we're just doing whatever, and not making the choice. And he or God, your higher self, whoever, has been kind of in the background here, tapping their toe, or sort of like waiting, as the sun is rising and as the whole thing is dawning and moving, the gross body is shifting from third to fourth density. We've come into the age of Aquarius. All the slow-moving planets have been coming along, Jesus, our higher self, spirit realm, those on the greater macro spectrum, time moves so much differently for larger bodies, right? Other planets have been in Aquarius for quite a while, and they're like, bro, what's going on? But as we know, Pluto is making its last stand. And after that is still the repercussions to happen. But the threshold of the dawning has been happening. The second coming has been dawning. Now, whether it's noon on the day, whether it's the dawn of the day, whether it's the sunset of the first day, I don't know when the great coming has happened, and he's here, and it's the noon. I'm not sure. I'm living to be surprised. I love the great mystery, and I have full faith in it. And so I don't really entangle out and have to ask questions and know about that kind of thing. But I know many are entangled in it, and so many are subconsciously shadowed out in there, anchored in it. And I have dense anchors that, the cords are so deeply rooted, maybe anciently, maybe they're archonic, I don't know. I won't deny that my shadow has them deeply rooted out there, but I don't pay attention to them. This is my great creator choice. I choose to bring it into homeostasis. I choose to align positively. I choose to not pay attention all the time to those on me. Just like there's a million bad choices out there you can make every day, but I choose not to. Just like in a hammer in my hand, I could do a million things with it, and certainly I could turn it towards myself and hit myself in the face. Why the heck would I ever do that? I would never do that. Just because it does not feel good. It's not right. It is a conscious thing I could choose to think on, and then if I really wanted to, I could ruminate on it. You could build out whole expressions of why others have maybe done that before, or reasons that you would do it. Why would you ruminate and spend your attention and intention? Your precious gift of present moment that is the gift of God is this present moment. Why am I wasting my imagination space clouding it with nonsense like that? These are questions that have brought me on the path here to now. That I don't do that. I'm not gonna do that. But it takes a long time, 5 years of myself anchoring out of that nonsense, to be fully knowing that I can presently, every present moment, bring myself into good positivity and know that I live in a surplus of abundance, of beautiful prosperity and security in the divine light of God, and that I am seeking my highest good, and that I am following the beautiful gauge of the sun's organic clock, and that I do seek my truth and run my time on my clock on my time, on organic time, and and that's the truth of the second coming. And a lot of us have been awake to this for a while, but more and more of us are coming awake to it now. And so I believe that that's the real kind of truth behind it, and I choose to align with that. Gonna leave it there. This has gone a little over time. I am gonna do episode 3 on the term the end of days, and talk about that and the apocalyptic kind of theme a little bit more, and hash out a little bit of the distortions around that, and how these are two actual things that are happening at the same time. It's also a power of our choice which ones we choose to incorporate with and how, and that we can alchemize and find balance and do great work for the collective between them, but only after we kind of have been able to even look at them as separate, and to evaluate and value them as they are, and to know, just like we have with this great term of second coming, that in that in itself is a whole episodes of discernment and sorting through, deconstructing and ironing out distortions and wrinkles to see what we're even truly talking about, and then to just even be able to truly talk about the great thing that we see there that it is, and then what it's become, and wear it and let it change and morph with each day. So I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for doing the work with me through this wonderful second episode of the Second Coming. And yeah, I'll see you for the third one next time. Have a beautiful day or evening wherever in the world you are. I know I usually say that. Sometimes I feel a little lost at the end without saying some kind of closing. So yeah, have a beautiful present moment eternally. Thank you for your audience and your beautiful contribution to our collective. And I'll catch you next time.